Hello from the greenhouse. So today we're gonna pollinate this self-pollinating Choqueta avocado. And it doesn't need necessarily to be pollinated by hand, but because I do not have bees or any pollinators in here, I'm gonna give it a little bit of a hand. So I use these very inexpensive craft brushes, and I'm going to use this flat one right here. And I'm really careful when I do this. I buy these in bulk, and I label them because I don't want to cross-pollinate something like a zucchini and a cucumber, because then I would get some kind of weird pollination. So I simply just label it, and this is going to be Avo, and it will only be used, can you see that? For avocados. So here we go. I cannot tell whether these are on the male or the female stage. So I'm just going to gently brush these little blossoms to get the sepal and the stamen and the pollen all to procreate in there. And these have been opening now for several weeks. And they do not produce a fragrance, or not anything that I can detect. And I also can't detect whether they are in the male stage or the female stage because they're so small, and I'm not really an expert on identifying the length of these female and male organs. And let's see if I can turn you a little bit. And if nothing else, it is a good project to do when you have the flu, and I've been home with the flu or some other kind of gunk for about 8 days now. So this is a nice little happy activity to do where I'm not infecting anybody, and I get the secondary benefit of all this beautiful oxygen here in the greenhouse, which makes it a lot easier to breathe. So these little avocados, they grow about 5 feet tall, and they're perfect for growing in a greenhouse or for outside where you have a hardiness zone of not lower than 20 degrees, which we do not have here. We get sub-zero sometimes. So I think that here in the greenhouse, it should do quite well. And what we're seeing, I don't know if you can see these dropping off, but they will drop for 2 reasons. Overproduction of flowers, which the plant cannot handle, which it cannot, because there's thousands and thousands, and this little plant could never handle that many avocado. But also, the plant is very susceptible to temperature changes and humidity changes. And remember, we just had that terrible frost that we had, the cold, which we were in single digits. So it's going to drop all of this from stress, which is fine, because what will, if it does produce avocados, what we will see is avocados that are strong and large, because the plant will be able to sustain a few and not a ton. And I don't know if you can see here, but right in the middle of this cluster of flowers, which have already opened and closed, we're getting some new leaves that are coming out. And this plant is directly overhead of these grow lights, and it really loves it in this location. So I'm going to continue to pollinate here and try to get as many as I can. And you can see that many of the blossoms just haven't opened yet. These ones way down here are very tight. And then up here, you can see that they've opened already once and have closed. It Could be that they've opened twice. I'm just not quite sure, but it sure is fun watching the growth on this. And again, we may go through all of this and get no avocados, but next year we could get more. So I will do the best I can here. And inside, and I can't get a close-up to show you, but it's very sticky in here in this tiny little yellow, bright yellow little nodules here. They're very sticky and shiny, and that is where they're going to pollinate. It does worry me that they're dropping so many flowers, but I know that it can't possibly sustain all of this. The ladybugs are helping because they're crawling around, and I have found the ladybugs in their procreative state in happy little corners in the greenhouse, so we know that they still have plenty of food. And we'll go right up here. And then I'm going to give this tree a good shake. And you can see a lot of the buds that are spent, they're not going to produce or do anything. They will fall off. And that's just natural attrition. But shaking is also going to shake up that pollen. And that's another way that we can hand pollinate this lovely little cicada plant. So I think that's good for now on that. I'm going to turn the camera and see if I can get you over here at the tomatoes. And I think I'm just going to take you off of this pod. One moment, please.